Hello friends, in this video we'll be taking a look at the autosomal DNA results, predicted phenotype and traits, and even ethnicity calculator results of an Anatolian Neolithic farmer from Barcin. This is where he is from. Actually it's a woman, so this is where she is from. She's from this location in Turkey. And her mitochondrial lineage is N1A1. So let's go ahead and begin to explore what she scores with my trait predictor. Let's go ahead and explore her autosomal DNA. For noshacot results, this is what she scores. So it looks like with noshacot, she's scoring dark or light brown eyes, although slightly higher odds of dark brown eyes rather than light brown. Really low odds of any eye color that's lighter than hazel. I mean, pretty much below 1% for all that combined. For hair color, she seems to be scoring black hair. Once again, really unlikely for her to have any kind of hair color other than black. And for skin color, she is scoring light or fair skin, and once again, unlikely for her to have any skin color other than light or fair. This is her predicted eye color with my web version of noshacot. It looks really dark. And for hair texture, she's actually predicted to have wavy or straight hair once again. Curly hair is also sort of possible. Kinky hair is completely out of the picture. There is no way she has kinky hair. Let's go ahead and now check what contributed to this score. Let's go ahead and scroll to the very end. So it looks like she's heterozygous for blue eye haplotype 1. She's heterozygous for this variation as well, which is usually indicative of blue eye haplotype 1. She does not have blue eye haplotype 2. However, she has this genotype, which is typically linked with having blue eye haplotype 2. So there's some variation here. Aside from her having really dark eye color, she actually has some genotypes for lighter pigmentation as well. And she does not have blue haplotype 3, and she does not have blue haplotype 4. Okay, now let's go ahead and check her ethnic calculator results. So with the ethnic calculator results, she seems to be closest to this Iranian individual. It's just one individual. It's not like a bunch of people. It's not an average. It's just one individual. Then Svaneti Georgian, which is once again just one individual. Then Neolithic farmer from Britain, which seems kind of right. You know, these Neolithic farmers from Britain were kind of similar to those from Anatolia. They had a little bit of Western hunter-gatherer admixture, of course, but they were really pretty similar to the Anatolian Neolithic farmers, such as this one from Barcin. Followed by that is Pinarbasi hunter-gatherer. So you see, it's very Mediterranean result. For the most part, I would say it's correct. However, once again, it's not the highest quality you can get because typically with really high quality files, you can see S&P count above 500. If you see S&P count above 500, then it's a reliable result. In this case, it's kind of close to it. It's all right. It's an all right result. Now let's go ahead and check what she scores for the polygenic risk scores. So for the polygenic risk scores, it seems like she's scoring below average score for schizophrenia, below average score for type 2 diabetes, and slightly above average score for Alzheimer's. She's got 1 risk variant for breast cancer out of 10. So you see, it's not a very high quality file, because with a high quality file, you would see however many risk variants for breast cancer out of like 30, because there's a lot of variations that my tool looks for. In this case, only 10 were found. Only 10 had genotypes. So once again, it's not a very high quality file. 9 risk variants for testicular cancer out of 16, which is very extreme. Well, actually, not that extreme. 9 is only one more than half. So maybe it's not even that extreme. 1 risk variance for celiac disease out of 10, which is normal, typical. 0 risk variance for GSS out of 0, so it looks like nothing was found for GSS. Once again, normal or typical. 3 risk variance for Crohn's disease out of 24. It looks pretty normal and typical once again. Let's go ahead and check her monogenic traits. So it looks like she's got heterozygous genotype in Combs-Valmet variation and GG genotype in MAOE, so she's definitely more warrior than warrior. So warrior means quicker breakdown of dopamine, less dopamine staying in the system, therefore advantages in stress resiliency, disadvantages in memory and attention tasks. She's got heterozygous genotype for the no-go learner variation and the variation that's typically linked to it, so okay. It looks like she's got TT here in 5-HTTLPR, so it looks like she's got short form 5-HTT-LPR just like most people, and she does not have a decrease in risk of depression. So some people, especially Europeans, very few Europeans have this genotype which protects them from depression, right? And nobody aside from Europe has it, which is the long form 5-HTT-LPR genotype. And in her case, she's got short form, so she doesn't have the rare variation that protects from depression. She does not carry the European lactose persistence mutation. Okay. 2 variants for higher levels of empathy and OXTR, very interesting to see. It looks like she does not have type 1 diabetes, once again really interesting to see. She is not a carrier for C282Y hemochromatosis mutation, once again really interesting to see. For Alzheimer's, it looks like no APOE2 alleles, really good to see. However, she has this genotype in TOM40, which leads to slightly higher odds of Alzheimer's disease. By the way, I pulled this genotype from a study that was used in Nebula. So I pulled this variation from a study that was used in Nebula. So I kind of stole, you could say I stole it from some other service. But it's a pretty important variation actually, but it's not as important as the ones in APOE gene, which are these two. Okay, no micro P, really good to see. Better performing muscles, likely sprinter rather than endurance athlete, really good to see. No fat gene variants in FTO's RS9949609, so doesn't have increased risk of obesity. Likely has photic sneeze reflex. No variants for increased pain sensitivity in SCN9A, really good to see. And EZAR, it looks like very European genotype in EZAR. She doesn't have East Asian EZAR. Well, what else could you expect from an Anatolian Neolithic farmer? I don't think any of them had East Asian EZAR. Not a carrier for cutaneous albinism type 1B mutation, but there's a bunch more that are simply not in the file, so we don't really know for sure. And she's got this genotype, which leads to a decreased risk of cleft lip and palate. Really good to see. For familiar Mediterranean fever, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 were found in the file, and 0 risk variants for all the 4 variations that were found in the file. Unfortunately, all the rest simply aren't in the file. For cancer panel, it looks like she's got 1 risk variant for breast cancer in this variation, but it's not a particularly rare variant, I think. And she's actually got a lot of really good genotypes for testicular cancer. So she's got this genotype, which leads to 2 times reduced risk of testicular cancer, really good. She's got this genotype, which basically protects from testicular cancer, 9 times lower risk of testicular cancer for men, really, really good. And she's got this genotype, which leads to 3 times increased risk of testicular cancer, but it's not. But this genotype right here is really important. So she's got pretty healthy. Overall, she's pretty healthy. All right. She's got this genotype, which leads to slightly increased risk of leukemia. This genotype, which leads to common genotype and leads to slightly lower risk of leukemia. And she's got this genotype, which leads to slightly higher odds of leukemia once again. All right. 0 risk variants for leprosy, once again, really good. And for celiac disease, she's only got 1 risk variant, and 1 risk variant isn't really all that significant. For the allergies panel, it looks like she's got this genotype, which leads to higher odds of allergies, but it's not a particularly important variation, to be honest. And she's got these genotypes, which lead to slightly lower risk of peanut allergies. Really good genotype. For Canavan syndrome, 0 risk variants for Canavan syndrome. Really good, really healthy. Well, that's pretty much all there is to it. Thanks for watching until the end of the video. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And you can download the file in 23andMe format from link which is in the description of the video. Check out my trait predictor. You can buy it. You can run your own file through it.